What's up? Welcome to my humble abode and welcome to my studio. Isn't that cool how it kind of rhymes? Humble abode, studio. I'm a rapper now. We are in the middle of what I call the slow season. Isn't that such a nice thought though, like slowing down for a change? I really like to remember that people, you and I, we are just like nature. We have seasons. Seasons for the trees look like, changing colors. The leaves fall. The sun is away from the sky just a little bit longer every single day and we're left with a little bit of a wind chill. But for humans, for you and I, a lot of times this can look like needing a little bit more rest than usual. Maybe your ideas don't come to you quite as fast anymore. Instead of trying to pressure yourself to move faster in your slow season, it would be better for all of us if we just learned to embrace it. Today, I just kind of wanted to invite you into my studio for a little bit and walk you through some of the things that I do in my daily life as an artist. As I sit here today, it's currently January, which for a lot of us working artists and creators, wind down a little bit and reflect on goals for the upcoming year, when we might pick up a pen, lean back and say, "World, where the heck are you taking me next?" I think that the transition from being a hobbyist into a working artist in large part is learning how to balance those two things. Like, how do you do work purely because you know that it will support you in your business and your livelihood? But then there's the flip side, where this product came from in the first place is this spark of inspiration that made you want to be an artist. And so you have to make sure you keep that spark alive just as much as you keep the spark alive that makes you want to continue doing this thing in the first place. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Jen Carmiel. Welcome or welcome back. I'm a watercolor artist and illustrator, and I make thoughtful weekly videos about mindset, creativity, and more. January for me is what I call my slow season, mostly because I'm not doing art markets. Initially, when I made this decision to forego art markets for these 2 months, it did cause me a little bit of anxiety because, art markets make up almost the entirety of my income. So to say goodbye to that willingly, I was like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Because art markets are not only that place where I sell art prints and make immediate sales, but it's also where I gather leads for people who might want to work with me in the future. So anytime I go to an art market, because I have a lot of kitty cat art prints, I frequently get requests for people to have me paint their pets. And so I might leave every single art market with anywhere from 3 to 5 different people that are interested in a pet portrait. I usually collect their information there at the market and then I text them afterward and see if, they're ready to invest in a portrait, as we do. I would say out of those, 3 to 5 people each week, maybe 1 to 2 of them might convert. And so when I was approaching January and February, I was a little bit anxious about losing the immediate access to sales as well as the access to potential new people that might be interested in my work. What I found happened as a result though is I did still get some leads come in through my email from people who have heard about me through a friend of a friend or people that had seen me in the past and were just waiting for the right opportunity to purchase. So I did end up booking about 2 more commissions just by sitting here at home, and I love that. Isn't that so cool? And so I put those on my schedule. For me, when it comes to scheduling all of my commissions, I have a whole system set up because this is the first year I've done commissions since I was 18 years old-ish, maybe even younger than that. And so for me, when it comes to making sure my commissions are on my schedule, I usually like to stagger them every other week. Sometimes if I have a lot of inquiries at once, like for the holidays, I do every week. But other than that, every other week is usually a pretty good rhythm for me. It allows enough time for me to get the portrait done, but also have enough time for my own creative endeavors as well. Something that has really been stretching me this month is I also have this grant program that I applied to almost forever ago. It feels like I applied to this grant maybe last year sometime. It was forever ago. And they reached out to me sometime within the last 4 months or so, and they actually accepted my application. And so I'm creating all of these little watercolor paintings of coffee shops to bring attention to the local community. It's gonna be a lot of fun and I'm really excited about it, but it has thrown a little bit of a wrench in the gears, so to say, when it comes to my March collection, which we'll talk a little bit about later. I wanted to create a whole new collection of watercolor paintings in March, just to have something a little bit new. I don't want people to look at my artwork and kind of go like, oh, I've seen all of that before. I can kind of tune out. Instead, what I wanted to do was replace every single design that I've been offering as art prints, and I wanted to replace them with all equal designs. So for instance, if people are collecting this orange cat print because they have orange kitties at home, I wanted to replace it with an equivalent and retire the old one to introduce some scarcity, introduce some rarity and unique quality to the art prints themselves, and hopefully have this going every single year so that every single year people can collect the new version of the art print. So that was my initial plan before I realized I had all of this going on for this grant. And now I sent them a document which stated I would pay about 1 coffee shop per week. But I'm starting to wonder if I've stretched myself a little bit too thin there, and if I had been over optimistic with how fast I would be able to paint. And also balance and rest as well, because oh my gosh, I have been, like mentioned before, I've been really bad about making sure that I also rest. That is probably one of the biggest hurdles for myself as an artist, is I get so consumed with these projects that I'm very interested in that the excitement overwhelms my ability to sense my body needs rest and food and things like that. So I had a pretty serious problem last year where it felt like more than burnout for me. Like I was having like really physical symptoms of like huge fatigue, complete inability to function kind of thing. And I don't want to let myself get to that point again. And so I really need to make sure that I, rest and eat and things like that. But I think that for someone like myself who spent probably 4 or 5 years putting this plan on the back burner, thinking to yourself, I wish I was an artist, and like never allowing yourself to go for it. And then finally it's sort of like all of my energy like came out all at once, you know what I mean? And so it's hard for me to rein that back in, because my body feels this relief about finally being able to do what I've always wanted to do. But I also need to make sure that I'm remembering my limits as well. Other than art markets, because I knew that I would be taking art markets off the table for January, I wanted to think of an easy way that I could supplement income there as well. So I started doing some painting classes. There's this place called Artistic Aspirations where I teach occasionally. But how I like to think of it is I have like, let's say 8 different things that I can do in my art business at any moment. And then you choose throughout the year where you want to invest your energy. For instance, if I take my energy off of art markets, I need to put it back in somewhere else. Otherwise you might see like some income decline, and you just don't want that, as well as visibility decline, because the huge thing as an artist in the world is always wanting to be visible, because the more visible you are, the more people will come to you and say, hey, can you help me with this project? And that is what's going to keep your business rolling. And so you always need to be visible. A lot of times people mistake social media as the only way to be visible, and that's just not the case. My favorite ways to be visible in my community is things like this, signing up to teach classes. And you can use social media to bring visibility to those things, but it's a lot easier to make social media posts saying, hey, I'm doing a cool thing, come and see me, than it is to say, hey, I made this painting, does anyone want to buy it? Like there's a level of transaction to the painting post versus the everyone come and paint with me, it's going to be so much fun. I had a really good turnout when it came to these watercolor classes that I put on the schedule. I actually sold both of them out, ended up making a post on TikTok, and then somehow it spread, TikTok, you know what, you and me are friends now. And I think that's a good place to end the video for today. I hope that you enjoyed hanging out with me for a little bit. Let me know what you think about this video format where I just kind of freeform kind of talk about what I've been doing lately in life and what I plan to do in the future. I'll probably start revisiting art markets later in March, and we'll see how that goes. As always, spending any amount of time here on this channel with me is a gift. I really do consider it a gift, and for that, this humble artist says thank you. Oh, I didn't even tell you to join the Small Joys Club. Join the Small Joys Club. It's in the description. The funnest, coolest thing. We love you.